when you're looking at ease of business, somebody set the standards for what you look at. And what you're looking at is not micro.
Because it's an indicator.
Yes.
But the question is of...
Yes. So that indicator, in fact, it's good you've used that, is not designed by you. So that now you can be measuring based on your state, or nation state, if I may call it that. Is it a confidence issue?
That we have? That
we have, such that we always see the West better than us. We always coil at the voice.
Actually,
and why is the question?
Actually, it's a predisposition that we have. Let me take you back. Take you back to the village. Yeah. From the concept of the village, how it was created.
I feel I'm 28. God, you've wasted my time. This guy, now you see, now I'm feeling a release that yes, move on. Why did I feel this 5 years ago? By 26, I had my master's. I had achieved, by the same 26, I had already landed at the UN. And not because I knew anybody.
That was early by the
faith. Yes. In fact, it's because of strikes.
You're top of the mountain, like you're a kid.
At the age of 25, I had planned to be a manager. The father and grandfather of that millennial could not dare challenge CNN.
Yeah. CNN even local news, they wouldn't even challenge local news.
That would be it. CNN imesema.
Even the cook. What's at CNN? Gazeti imesema.
Gazeti imesema.
And the Gazeti never lies.
And that is it. Only for you to realize that these guys, actually, when you challenge them, will even apologize. CNN apologized.
Whoever thought?
Yes.
Oh, mko ready?
Yeah.
Hey. Wacha tu reset. Tumepiga tu reset hapa mpaka nika tumeshika momentum. We will just discuss and explore. It's good. I think it's healthy not to plan a conversation and explore the conversation and just see where this conversation takes us, because we've been thinking, and whoever we want to talk to as well has been thinking.
Yes.
And interestingly, we're in this time.
And remember, you were to tell me a story.
Ndakupigia story zote. Yeah. We are now at a very interesting time, and the interesting time is we're in a weird crisis. This crisis that we are in has caused everyone to retreat. So I read an article, a very interesting article, and the article was just saying that could we be copy-pasting what the West is guessing? You get? Because it's not that they know.
You don't want me to go into this conversation. I'll get into trouble.
Tuta-censor what's censorable. You get? Because really no one knows what's happening.
Yes.
So the ones that guessed first, technically. So they tried to... it's interesting, leadership gets you into a place where you want to lead, but sometimes you don't know where you're leading.
To lead to.
So you don't want to be caught doing nothing, and not being caught doing nothing pushes you to copy
or do anything.
Yeah, like Al Nightingale said that we are in a generation of follow the follower, not follow the leader. And a follow the follower generation is the one that you mentioned of conformity. Yeah. So when you get to a point of conformity, we are not doing because we know why. We're doing because this is what people do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you find yourself in a, what do you call it, a rat race, whereby you're moving but you're going nowhere.
Yes.
Because even the person who you're following is going nowhere.
He's going nowhere.
They're just not telling you that.
Yeah. But we do not want to be caught going nowhere.
Yes.
And we do not want to be caught doing nothing.
Yes.
So we are active, but we are not necessarily productive.
Yes.
then think of it that we have a reference point and we keep checking on that end,
yes,
the West's end of the world. But at the same time, our economies are not the same. Yeah? At the same time, our capacity is not the same. At the same time, we're looking at things, but are we looking at them in a skewed way? Could we be looking at people who are saying, wacha tufunge? But they can afford to do that.
Yes.
We can't afford to do that. Yeah. So we're getting to a place where we are now, I want to throw it back to you, just before we even decode it. What's your take on this situation that is bringing conformity from a leadership point of view?
I was in Germany in February last year.
Yeah.
For our startup.
Introduce after that thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
For a startup conference, and this is in the state of Baden-Württemberg, which is the third richest in Germany. And this young German girl, well, young adult, and she asked me, so Waithera, how does it feel when you're called a developing country? So I told her, well, it's better than least developed. And I laughed at my own joke.
Oh, it's better than third world.
Or third world.
Yeah.
But then a thought came to my mind, and at the same time we said, but who came up with the criteria? Then she told me, you know, Waithera, infrastructure-wise, we are developed. But when it comes to happiness, Africa is more developed. If there is anything I left that mission with, was that statement. Who came up with the SI units? Who came up with the indices?
Where is this threshold? Yeah.
Yes. Now, let me ask you. We're talking about conformity.
Yeah. From a governance leadership point of view.
From a governance leadership point of view.
Yeah.
Now, let's even bring it down to the family unit, because many times when I get into debates or conversations about nations, I like to bring it to the smallest unit in a nation, which is a family. If you have two children, one is extremely a lover of color.
Yeah.
Okay? The yellow, orange,
like
red,
you.
nini. Like me, I love color. Then there's another one who plays it safe.
Yeah, grays, blacks,
blues. Akienda sana white. And even then it will be toned down by a black somewhere. If you keep on telling this child who is in black and white, let's call them dull colors.
Yeah.
Why aren't you bright? Why don't you, bright is the standard. The child who likes the dull colors will conform, but they'll never feel right. Because that's not who they are. They have a right to their dull colors. There's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah.
That's their SI unit. That's what they like.
It's their essence.
It's their essence. It's when they wear that, it brings who they are out. This one who loves color is also brought out by color. Personally, June, July, I have to wear bright colors because I can't stand the dull weather. My clothes are what,
it's
when I look
psychological.
Yes, I have to see something bright because I love brightness. I love sunshine. There are people who don't mind gray because they love gray clouds and because they love dull colors.
Yeah.
So who is right and who's wrong between those two?
And is it a myth that bright colors means you're after attention?
No.
And dull colors means that you have esteem issues?
Yes, you've got... No, not necessarily. It just means that that's what... And you see now, those are the problems. Because someone's culture decided that bright means that you want to be seen. No. Perhaps it can explain personalities, but it's got nothing to do with esteem or confidence or anything. A person who's introverted is not necessarily suffering from low self-esteem.
No.
Most mafia bosses are not loud.
Most geniuses.
Geniuses are not loud.
Are very reflective and observe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's the one who is the loudest. Does that mean that because you're loud that you actually have high self-esteem? No. It It could be that you're actually trying to cover up something, you see. Going back to the nations, what we are saying is some nations, based on their culture, come together and form the standards that the world will walk in. Mm-hmm. And then we spend all our lives trying to meet standards that are not our own.
Borrowed.
Yes, it's just like purpose. It doesn't matter how well I can imitate you. I can never be you. It doesn't matter how well I imitate you. It doesn't matter how well Churchill can speak like President Moi or like Uhuru. They will never be Uhuru. They will never be.
It is what
Moi.
it is.
Yes, the best you can do is imitate. In another language, it's called to counterfeit. In a better language, it's what we are calling to copy.
To clone.
To clone. So we as African nations or the world decided, oh, these standards that have been set, let's go for them. But who said we all have to build huge industries?
Yeah.
Why can't we just do our nice, simple, organic cottage industries that is half automated and half human labor? It doesn't matter where the world is going. The question is, what is good for us? Can we move at our pace? Mm-hmm. But we are so quick to want to go up, what are they called? Human Development Index,
yes.
Corruption Index. There are all these indexes.
Ease of doing business index.
Yes. But Kwanza, that one, hey, that one I don't even hide. Last year I think we moved from 80 something to I think 59. I can't remember the exact number. And there was a lot of excitement. And I asked, we are still annually having at least 300,000 MSMEs closing down every year. Every year.
300,000.
We have 300,000
MSMEs
months. Closing every year. What is of business are we talking about? Because clearly we are not feeling it down here. You know?
Yeah.
And the response
probably it's
was
a convenient narrative. Who knows?
But you see, it's because when you're looking at ease of business, somebody set the standards for what you look at. And what you're looking at is not micro.
Because it's an indicator.
Yes.
But the question is of...
Yes. So that indicator, in fact, it's good you've used that, is not designed by you. So that now you can be measuring based on your state. Or nation state, if I may call it that.
True.
It is coming from someone else who tells you, if you meet this criteria, then you will qualify to be moving forward. And so you're meeting their criteria, but in your country, 300,000 are still closing shop every year.
Let me tell you something interesting about the character of an indicator. We have a leading indicator and a lagging indicator. And we have a mirror indicator. A mirror indicator is, I'm telling you how I'm feeling now. You get? A lagging indicator, I'm lecturing you over something you did yesterday. A leading indicator, I'm advising you about something you will face tomorrow. You get?
Yes.
So sometimes people take a lagging indicator and make all this fuss around it.
Yes.
Let me give you a lagging indicator. Or should I give you a leading one?
You can give me both.
Okay. So a lagging indicator is sometimes people sit like this and say, what the market did this week.
So it's in the past.
So this week stocks performed this way. This week the index was this. It rose 3%, 5%, whatever. And normally you would look at it and think, it's time. You get? But the truth is, the market is very fluid. And the market works on sentiments. And every day carries its own sentiment. Whatever the market did yesterday is not what the market will do tomorrow. Even though we say history repeats itself, it doesn't repeat itself in a mirror format. It repeats itself in a principle format. And the principle says the market rises and falls. There's a market pulse. Keeps rising, falling, rising, falling. We will see the same pattern, but we cannot necessarily say tumejirudia.
Yeah.
This year's harvest was this, so we're happy, so it means that Kenya is a good place, or whatever country is a good place for us to plant this thing. But then the following year, locusts check in, then what do we say? Now let me give you COVID. Let me give you a leading indicator. A leading indicator is to say, these are the contracts of how many people that were employed this month. Or these are the many that were unemployed this month. These are the many bags of cement that were bought this month. These are the many contractual plans that were approved this month. So it basically tells you that this means that people are preparing to build. It's a leading
telling
indicator.
You what you're going to do in the future.
Exactly.
Okay.
Umeiona?
Yeah, nimeona.
So it's a leading indicator. And when things are like that, it's like a leading indicator would be people have started buying jackets. Let's assume we had winter here.
Yes.
Yeah. So winter ijafika, but you need a leading indicator to plan for then. Yeah. So the stock for winter is not sold in winter.
No.
You need to be able to sell it prior so that it makes sense. Ukianza kuuza jako winter, uko late. Yeah.
It's true.
So let's take this now and bring it to our situation. Are we reacting based on a lagging indicator, or are we acting inspired by a leading indicator?
That's
because I'm telling you, COVID is lagging indicator.
Why did you say so?
It's a lagging indicator because it's here already. It's too late. Yeah. If it was a war, we've been ambushed. So we are not proactive.
We were not prepared for it.
We are reacting. And a lagging indicator will never get you out of a problem. They say you cannot get out of a problem in the same state of mind that created the problem.
That's true. The same way an army cannot fight a war while strategizing. It's something that you should have done.
Exactly.
You cannot say when we get into the war is when you get into the war with a... So we did not have a strategy for this kind of war. It caught the world off guard.
On lagging indicators. What are we saying? We're saying this is what happened to Italy, so this is what we should do. It's not this is what will happen to Italy. This is what happened to Italy.
And so we are thinking that it will take... But don't you think about it?
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, hasn't that been the tragedy, particularly of the African nations, whereby...
What's that to introduce?
Oh.
My name is SK.
And I'm Waithera Gaitho.
Hey.
When you look at the African...
Tumeenda deep too fast. Ama iko sawa?
Tuko sawa.
Okay.
Tuko sawa. I mean, when you think about it, it's something that weighs heavily. You know, we usually, in my heart, because when you're talking of low self-esteem, low self-confidence, you always look at it from an angle of a human being. But nations also suffer from the same thing.
Yeah, it's true.
Whereby, so now, Italy is doing this. And you decide, the Italians handled it this way. I looked at some of the numbers that some of the medical, let me say the health sector was giving. There's one that estimated, or rather projected, that we would have about 800,000 deaths. And of course, there was Melinda Gates who planned, she saw millions of bodies
on the streets.
Yes, here our health sector said they are expecting 800,000 deaths. And I sat down and 10,000
cases by end of April.
Yes.
What was that? Was it a leading or a lagging?
We have even 30 people dead yet.
Uganda
has one even died yet. Not yet. They're still... Simply because someone came up with some criteria for Italy and all that based on something, and then we took it and did the same estimations. You know, and that's the problem. You have the gift to come up with your own solutions. You have the gift to say, wow, that's happening there. what will happen here. But because of the generations, maybe our generation has that challenge, but the present inaitangwa nini your generation?
Z.
Your Z.
Yeah. Kuna millennials
totally
side and Z just yeah.
Actually, let's start with the millennials.
Yeah.
The millennials are the ones who face CNN and tell them, you're saying what?
By they challenge.
They challenge CNN. Do you know the father and grandfather of that millennial could not dare challenge CNN?
Yeah.
CNN
even local
imesema,
news, they wouldn't even challenge local news.
That would be it. CNN imesema.
Even ndio kuka. Wacha hata CNN. Gazeti imesema.
Gazeti imesema.
And the gazeti never lies.
And that is it. Only for you to realize that these guys, actually, when you challenge them, will even apologize. CNN apologized.
Whoever thought?
Yes. So that is a different generation that does not just take things. I'll tell you that according to the World Economic Forum, as we speak, Africa has its most educated and exposed, globally exposed generation ever since.
It's true.
So this particular generation is the one that can actually take Africa to the next level. This is the generation which has come up with fantastic ideas. It has all these innovations. Arguably, even M-Pesa is said to have been done in Kenya. It's a whole debate. But we've got so many great ideas. As one who works with young entrepreneurs, I literally see them daily. Who's taking them seriously? Nobody. It takes someone coming. The other day, about 2 years ago, we had a team of, will I call them what? Senior citizens from Germany. You know, retired, and they're just going around the world trying to do some good and all that. But in the process, they're also looking for investment opportunities. One of them was the former, either a board member or chair of, what is this company called? It's an ICT company, Nokia. I think it was Nokia. I can't remember. I think it's Nokia. But one of the big ICT companies, I can't remember. And he said, Waithera, if you come across any concepts, any ideas, he gave me 3 different sectors, please let me know. This is a senior citizen who already can see. So the question is it a confidence issue?
That we have.
That we have, such that we always see the West better than us. We always coil at the voice.
Actually,
and why is the question?
Actually, it's a predisposition that we have. Let me take you back to the village. Yeah, from the concept of the village, how it was created. The concept of the village, how it was in the village there were leaders.
Yes.
And the leaders were in a circle. In a circle there was a pot and straws. Yeah? And not everyone was allowed in that circle because wazee wanaongea. You get? They were speaking about important things. And everyone else was waiting, chilling from huku kando. Wazee wakiongea watatuchanua. But the thing is, anytime a younger person would go close to the circle, they would be reprimanded and be told, "We nini wewe? Woni wazee wanaongea." You get? And therefore, they would chill from a distance, waiting for the day that the wazees will call them into the circle. Unfortunately, the wazees started dying off, and they never invited anyone into the circle.
It's true.
And the second generation was now in the circle with straws. And now they are like, "Ala, suongea nini huku? Mi sijui."
They were not mentored.
Yeah. And these younger people are trying to come in, and now they are reprimanding them. "Oh, ni wazee wanaongea," just in case they realize that it's a bubble. They say hatujui. And that generation leaves the next generation and the generation, and right now we're the ones in the circle. And si tunaulizana, Waithera kunaendaje? Mi sijui. You get?
Who can change the narrative?
Transparency, where the principle says, if you show me your trophies, you intimidate me. If you show me your scars, you inspire me. If you show me how your scars became your victory, then you transform my life. They say currently, transparency, or authenticity is the new smart.
And I agree, because if we are to speak transparency, one, and talking of, you said, show me your scars.
You intimidate me.
Not your scars.
Show me your trophies.
You intimidate me. Show me your scars. You inspire me.
Correct.
Show me how your
scars became your victory, and you transform my life.
Transform my life. So if we could get into some inspiration, transformation, just a moment. I think that the greatest thing generations can do to another, and perhaps ours should do that in the name of transparency, is to share our scars.
Yes.
And to be able to show how those scars have been able to transform into victories.
Yes.
Because when you're still bleeding, really there's no inspiration at that particular moment. And the greatest conversation you can ever tell someone is that you're not going to become light. You are already light. You could be dim, but by all means,
you're
still light. By all means, you're still light. And that process of getting the scar does not make you any less. Africa may have been a scarred continent. The division, of the continent, slavery, the wars, the poverty, what people have gone through during a time when other parts of the world had since left that scenario. Because it's not that they were not also going through. Europe has had some of the bloodiest wars in history.
Yeah, so true.
Asia has had some of the bloodiest wars. Even the Middle East. What we read as the Bible was actually Asia Minor, Middle East, and Europe. And Africans also used to have their wars, but they were not to the magnitude that the others would have, because they had more sophisticated weaponry. And so these people come, and by virtue of their weapons and the ship that they've come with and all that, you begin to think they are better than you in many ways. But they didn't arrive there in one day. And so you have a scarred continent that has not used its scars to inspire others. You're ashamed of your scars, not understanding that your scar could be the doorway and the gateway to the transformation of very, very many lives. And at that point, let me give, for example, ndio tuseme na tutende, si ndio?
Muhimu.
10 years ago, I got pregnant out of wedlock. I was an intercessor. In fact, I was a Pharisee. It was very self-righteous, riding on a very high white horse, And how I ended up in that space was because I got angry with God. I'd been in a relationship for about, 8 years, and we'd been friends for about maybe 10, 12 years. And
lifetime friends, half a lifetime.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at some point, I'd wanted to, I felt that, I wanted out and all that. But something inside me told me, hold on. And I believed it was God. And then, 4 or 5 years later, something happens, and like he did something. It was something so small, very small magnitude. When they say for women, by the way, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can just be the last nail, and that last nail can be something very small that it doesn't make sense. But anyway, I got upset with God because I was in my late 20s then. I'm a very goal-oriented person, and I had been an achiever. I was always an achiever. If I got into a space, I would set a goal, and even if I did not know how if I sensed it and I felt it and I said it, I just believed it and I knew somehow it was going to happen. And some things were very crazy things I would say, and people would actually laugh. One of the crazy things I said was when I joined USIU. I was a fresher, and I said, I heard that they paid school fees for people if you become the chair of the students' body. And I said, oh, really?
I better be.
I am going to be the chair of this. And of course, I was not a popular person. I did not come from a wealthy family. So, of course, me and all my friends, we laughed together.
Yeah.
How would you be the chair? Do you know what it takes? Have you seen the campaigns? And I said, I'm going to be the chair of this school. I was a fresher. And so just speaking my mind and being a very goal-oriented person. In short, yes, I did become the chair of the school. That's a story for another day. But basically...
And did they pay?
No. So I found out the best they would do is pay for you transport. But the upside was all those, transport to go home. The last year I was even staying in university, so it wasn't. But they would pay for every school trip I went for, whether it's
exchange
East African Games, so which was good, because then I got the exposure and I got to interact with different clubs, so it was still worth it. But poor dad, he still had to pay the school fees. I only saved him transport. But being a very goal-oriented person and having favor to the point that every one of those goals was met, to the point I would actually tell God, by the way, so you know me, I love you, but just in case you don't exist, I have to have plan A, B, C. So here I come, back forward, I'm going to rewind.
True.
I feel this guy has wasted my time. Back forward, rewind, but anyway, this guy, so I feel I'm 28. God, you've wasted my time. This guy, now you see, now I'm feeling a release that yes, move on. Why did I feel this 5 years ago? By 26, I had my master's. I had achieved, by the same 26, I had already landed at the UN. And not because I knew anybody.
That was early by the way.
Yes. In fact, it's because of strikes.
You're top of the mountain, like you're a kid.
At the age of 25, I had planned to be a manager at a good company, have my master's, married. I had none of them because God was taking me through a process. Now I know that.
And in retrospect,
yes. But I felt I had let my father down so much. I hated my 25th birthday. On my 25th birthday, my dad was in the sitting room, seated, probably reading some book, and I ran to him in tears, on my knees, apologizing for failing him, that I had not made any good of my life at 25. The guy was in awe and shock. I said, what are you saying?
It's like you're a baby.
Yes. It's like, what are you saying? You finished your first degree, you're doing your master's now. What do you mean you've not achieved anything? And I was like, this guy didn't understand. Because I was such a goal setter.
Because it's relative. Relative to what he may see as good versus what you see.
In fact, to me, I was lagging. To him, you're progressing.
It's a perspective issue.
Yes. And so, if it wasn't for the strikes and all that, I would have my master's by 24. Because I graduated my first degree at 22, so master's was 1.5, 2 years, I would have had it. So here I am at 28. Okay? I had my 2 degrees. I'm working at the UN. The only thing pending is to get married. And have this guy, we've done
all
budgets.
The
yes, everything. And then this guy does something, and because of a certain, I was seeing certain things, and you don't want to get into that thing of you're always questioning someone. It shows either there's no trust, you could even be nagging, it could be, the issue could be you, by the way, not necessarily the other person. And so I felt the release. to end that relationship. Then I said, but God, you've wasted my time. Remember, I was supposed to have my family by 25. I'm on schedule. So I told God, remember, I'm an achiever and I'm used to having nothing is the same God anyway, and anipatianga your favor. And so what happened? I told God, since you wasted my time, I have a box to tick.
Ndapiga catch up mimi mwenyewe.
Kile si tutafanya ni me, I'll look for a husband for myself.
Ni kama una take too long.
So you just look for, you want a godly, so you just need someone who's godly, ameokoka nini. Mimi nitatafuta mtu kama huyo. Me, I'm off to get myself a husband. You know very well, if you know God very well, you know what he does. Says, folds his hands. Just like the father in the prodigal story. You want your inheritance, but see ya, son. With tears, yes, but see ya. And off to the world I went. My friend, it didn't take 2 years. I wasn't sexually active before.
Yeah.
But in 2 years, I was pregnant. Okay? Now, I was, as I've told you, a Pharisee, chief high priest, riding on a white horse called self-righteousness. If anyone came and told me, oh, I heard that so-and-so has gotten pregnant, I would ask them, are you a cow? Were you led to the slaughterhouse? What do you, at a mistake? How? Are you a cow? And then you see, yes. And then now what happens is...
It's a very popular statement,
yes.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you are in that state, I can tell you now, because I know myself, you are going through a lot of emotion, so many questions, so many things happening in your mind. And so you're telling your friends, or those you think are your friends, please pray for me and all that. Don't ask Sarah to pray for you. I wouldn't tell you. But in my mind, I would be like, didn't you know that the wages of sin is death? Ama ulikuwa nafikiria ni death physical. That is your death. That is how cold I was.
No.
I was so cold. So you can imagine when I got pregnant what I thought. The wages of sin is minimum. I'm done. I'm finished.
Nimeishi hapa.
I'm done.
Ulidu what?
Wacha nikwambie. I was scared. SK, I was scared. And I was scared because in as much as I was very driven, I was a very confident, ambitious person.
All through.
And with a lot of grace and favor that made me think it was me, not God. I now started asking myself, I have always been dependent on the promises and blessings of God. God turns his face from me. What will I do? Who am I now? And this was the thing about my pregnancy. SK, it looked so organized. For the first time, by this time, I don't know I'm pregnant yet. But December, I bought a car. Na sikuchukua loan.
Cash.
I bought a car. Well, I paid in installments in a short period, but it was cash. I had seen that car at the age of 22. I had said that car will be mine one day. I bought it at the age of 28, the same car. That's the level of faith that now I have later come to see. And that's why when I believe, when you believe something, it doesn't matter how young you are, God hears. If you forget, God will not forget. But it comes to pass. I bought a car. In January, I had this certain urge to spend time with God. So I removed Facebook, na nika-deactivate kabisa. I replaced it with godsgenerals.com.
Na ukatoka kwa soko?
Nikatoka kabisa. Feb, I changed churches. Something just pushed me. Nilikuwa naangalia my then pastor anaongea naona tu mdomo ikisonga, sisikii kile anasema. So in my heart, I was feeling moved to a particular church. I'd been in that church. I'd been in my previous church since I was in standard 8 for over 17 years. I'm moving, I go where?
It's home.
So I'm thinking, then I said, you know what? Let me just, nikifika huko nitajua whether I'm feeling right or wrong. When I arrived there, I knew I'd be there maybe for 2 weeks, 2 months, I didn't know. So I said, let me hang out here. I still don't know I'm pregnant.
Allah.
In March, I decided I'll move out of my parents' house for the first time. I went, I looked for a house. Unajua zile nyumba ngumu kupata kama zile za mada. Me, I got one in South Bay, a very nice house in a very nice nini, but they were gaba houses.
Yeah.
A very nice house. That March, ending of March, I found out I was pregnant. So anyone who was looking at between December and March, it looked so organized. Hata alinunua gari, akatoka Facebook, akatoka church.
Akahama. Umejiarrange.
She knew.
Na finally sasa anaget mtoi.
She didn't know. I didn't know I was pregnant up to that point. I didn't know. SK. I was scared. But God being God. God being God. One day I was just listening. I don't even know because I'm not an FM person, a radio person. I don't know what made me put Hope FM. I had a verse. Hata sikuisikia yote. So when I went to the office and I was trying to work, that verse kept on coming to my mind. So I decided to Google it because I could remember a portion of it. And it said, blessed is the man whose sin the Lord does not hold against him. So when I Googled it, it actually came. It's, I think, Psalms 32 from verse 2 to 4. And says, blessed is the man whose sin the Lord does not hold it against him, and in whose spirit there is no deceit. That fear, I literally felt, ni kama literally want a vacuum. Let me tell you, SK, that was about 3 months, 2 months or so, I found out I was pregnant. And that was the beginning of a different journey. At that point is where I decided, no, I have a release. My release was not until the pregnancy will go.
See.
By that time, the kind of things I had told the doctor, I told her, do you know I'm a mentor? Do you know I'm an intercessor? How can I be pregnant?
You can't mess my CV
pregnant.
now.
How? Kwani I'm Virgin Mary. You know, me.
Yeah.
You know. Let me tell you. She told me, well, if people have been looking... she told me, who are these who have been focusing on you? Maybe that's why you needed to get pregnant so that they can focus on Jesus. I was like, this mama is nasty.
Allah.
But she made a very important point. Because I thought that people looked
at you.
At me. Yet, I was not meant to be their focus. I've never forgotten that statement. SK. So anyway, when I read that verse and the fear lifted, and that's when I felt the release to tell my friends, credit ilisha hata kabla nitume text zote, but I didn't need to. My so-called Christian friends. In fact, I hear one of them announced in a wedding to everyone. What? Shouted. If he had a microphone, probably would have said it louder.
You but don't need a budget to go viral with such. When you are viral amongst themselves.
But let me tell you one thing I had peace. Not because my circumstance had changed. I was in my crisis, my COVID. That was my personal COVID experience.
Quarantined within you.
Quarantined within me, on my own. The rest of the world is going on its own. But SK, that's a story of a decade. Today, the Sarah of then, and the Sarah of today. Unajua ile wimbo tulikuwa tunaimba, I put on the old, I put off the old and cloth and put on. I would not want to meet that Sarah. Because that Sarah thought she deserved. That Sarah had never bothered to seek out even who she was. She assumed. Same thing we are saying. Si niliambiwa ni kwa intercessor. Si niliambiwa niendange kesha. Si niliambiwa si mi ufanya zote. Then
nisha tick boxes. Hiyo ni normal.
Kileta bring it to the environment of education. I was an achiever. I was all, you know, give me a canter to drive, I'll drive. Give me a matatu to drive, I'll drive. What do you need? I will do. You need me to skin a goat, I'll skin it. But I got to a place. The whole world was shut out. And it was me and my COVID. And at that point, I told God, if you wear trousers, I'm holding on them like this, tightly. I'm not letting go of you. You're all I have. And the only reason I was able to do that was because of that verse. And I just came up with a slogan for that season of my life. And that slogan was, foolish obedience, absolute faith. If I hear, even if I'm wrong, nani dhani ni God, I'm going that way. And I had so many questions and so many concerns as K. And one time I told God, I don't want someone to tell me the Bible says. I know my Bible. I know it end to end. I've used the same Bible since I was 6. I don't want someone to tell me what the Bible says. I know what the Bible says. I just wanted a woman with a gentle and quiet spirit and voice to listen to all my questions without even answering me, as iskize tu. I remember I was walking to work that day. I can tell you exactly where I was. And I heard a voice clearly tell me, Sarah, do you know how many people I sent your way? But because of your attitude, they were turned away. Tears.
Uliwalenga.
An attitude, see, self-righteousness. What do you mean why can't you, not understanding people are built differently. People have got issues that they need to first overcome. And let me tell you something. And this is what completely transformed my life. After I read that verse, blessed is the man whose sin. I never imagined and I had never seen the word blessed and the word sin in the same
come
sentence.
Together.
And at that point, I realized something. God's love is so unconditional.
True.
I had grown up with that illusion and it being alluded to that it is I who keeps God close to me.
Through your effort.
Through my effort. But here I was, pregnant. My spiritual father, actually, or rather my heavenly father, my biological father, my dad perpetually called me, do you have money in your account? Do you have money in your account? At that time, I was working for the UN. I never earned, let's just say, I was earning 6 digits at a very young age. Money was not my problem.
From your 20s.
My dad perpetually called me. God showed me a side of him. He was fighting for me. And then, God being God, at that time, sinakumbuka nilikuwa nimehama church na hata sikujua nilihamia nini. God raised up people around me. An elderly, wonderful woman. She was in her 60s then. Great woman of God with that quiet and gentle spirit I was looking for. A great, great man of God. An Anglican. Now, where I was coming from, hizi churches Anglicans juu nini tulikuwa tunasema boredom. That is the person today I call my spiritual father. Even if I called him at midnight with my questions, he would listen. 3 hours, 4 hours. It's been many years. And he still listens when I have something to say. And he's never asked me to do anything for him. Never. And that's when I realized something called unconditional love and non-judgmental. And God, yes, I fell. But even when I fell, my daughter's father is a great man, a great father, always present for that child. Very, very, very. I cannot say I'm a single parent. It would be unfair, utterly unfair. I'm a single woman who has a child. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, Nina.
Now, SK, that story can be very long, but this was the conclusion. I learned a few things. That even in the midst of that COVID, that girl became a classroom that God used to teach me a lot of things about himself. Okay? But another thing I learned, don't ever judge someone's situation. That was my COVID. You have your COVID.
Yes.
Someone else has their COVID. Don't ever think your COVID is greater or lesser than someone else's. And don't ever, ever think that God has turned away from someone and even have a Bible verse to quote. Because what I became, it has been 10 years since. As we are saying, this is some, it's what did you call it? You said it's a scar?
Yes.
With victories.
When your scars, when you show me your trophies, you intimidate me. Show me your scars, you inspire me. Show me how your scars become your victory. You literally transform my life.
Now let me tell you what victory my scar brought. Because of that understanding, because of that patience, I was able to listen to young people. The long and short alternatives.
That's where the youth thing came from.
And so when people ask me, I have a friend who says youth are like cats. It's like trying to herd cats. Ukileta hii ilishaenda. She asked me, how do you manage to, where do you get the patience? And let me tell you, I can see a young girl or a young man. He will not need to open the mouth. I will know that one needs a hug. Just a hug. Haitaji story. And I will go and just hug that young person. And they will burst into tears. And sometimes when you leave them at umenda kuhudumia ule ama to listen, the person leaves, you will never know who they are. You will never know their story. You will never know their name. All they needed is K. Was a hug. You know why I know that? Because there's a time I myself, with all the love of God and all the people he had surrounded me with, sometimes all I needed is K. Was a hug. So today I am called, yes, in the marketplace, but the patience I'm able to have. I'm telling you, I deal with young people in business, but they'll still call me at night and tell me about their personal issues. And I will listen. By the way, I don't give I don't give the youth a different phone. I have one number. Even if I'm asleep and I wake up in the morning and I will respond. I may not be the best of communicators, but where there is trouble, I will. It doesn't matter whether you're in Mandera, whether you're in Zambia, or whether you're in Dandora here or in Runda Kile. It doesn't matter. We will talk. And it's simply because somebody was patient with me. So out of, it was a wilderness season. By the way, I'm not married. After what I went through, niliambia God, in your time, you make all things beautiful. I would rather wait on God.
And he can be trusted.
Than live with those goals. Yes, hizo goals zangu za by the time I'm 28, by the time, where would they be? Where would I be today? But I chose the wilderness, foolish obedience, absolute faith. And today, because of that, a very painful process. Scars. But today, I want to believe. And sometimes they'll send me texts, transformational texts. I got one early March and it just blew my mind. I didn't know that this girl's life had been transformed that way. When someone you met 4 years ago writes to you and tells you, I'm pregnant, this is what happened. And you walk with this person 1.5 months. And someone wonders, where did you get the patience? You tell them, no, someone was patient with me.
Wow.
And this was the best part about it. And this is a message to the single mothers.
Actually, I wanted you to talk to them.
The single
mothers. Ongea you, I'll take you to some place.
This is the most dangerous thing. SK, a single, let me say, a woman, particularly a Christian woman who gets pregnant before getting married, is rejected. Let me put that word easily. Yeah. And I can say firsthand.
And the attack, man, from the
church. You get attacked, but that's not the worst thing. Oh, let me tell you one of the mind or what one goes through during that season. And that's why, yes, there's forgiveness and God restores you, but it's not a journey you wish even on your worst enemy. Because you start asking certain questions. You understand that when you get married, your hand is given from your father to another. And even your Father in heaven is involved in that process. Now you are. And then, so this man you are given to is the identity that now your child gets. So one of the questions when you're not married is, whose identity does my child have? And me too, what's my identity? To who do I belong? Mm-hmm. Remember, when you're asking all these questions, you're surrounded by rejection. I was lucky that all my three fathers were very different. My spiritual, my heavenly, and my biological.
Where is the rejection highest felt?
The father of the child. If he doesn't accept you, it's not pain you wish even on your worst enemy. It is terrible. Terrible. Sometimes they may know what they are doing, sometimes they may not. It's still rejection. Either way, it's still rejection. So there is that. There is the naming of that child. Okay? There is the provision. That child has to eat. That child needs shelter. Okay? Now, but that's not all. When you're a Christian, the worst pain you feel is you've let God down. And you are perpetually reminded that you have fallen from the grace.
So it's like a self-condemnation.
Self-condemnation. But then it's also exacerbated by what others like, hey, look, this one. Because remember, you committed fornication, if not adultery, depending on whether the girl's married or not.
Yeah.
Now, you are not an example to the young girls in the church anymore. So who wants you to serve in church anymore?
Because the church wants perfection.
Yes, you're not supposed to have engaged in those kind of...
But does it exist?
Of course not. You just get lucky if you get away with it. But that's not even it only. The other thing that happens, apart from you being rejected, the serving and all that, is now you yourself, you want to make it up to God. And that's why you will find, so you're always condemning yourself because you've been told now you're not good enough. But let me tell you the worst thing, SK, and I'll never forget. I remember I had a friend, a male friend, that had wanted to marry me. And let's just say he didn't. I refused. I said he was not born again and what. So, I meet with him and I tell him, by the way, I've fallen off my high horse. I'm pregnant. And the guy says, you're what? Let's get married.
Allah.
I told him, are you crazy? He says, I'm very serious.
Because?
So I asked him, why? And he told me, I actually really love you. My problem was you were too judgmental. You were too judgmental and I did not think. But I'm serious. I told him, you're crazy. Of course, I'm not going to marry you. Why I'm telling you these stories, I go to a girlfriend and I tell her, can you imagine?
He proposed.
So and so is telling me at it. Do you know what she told me? She told me in mother tongue, so it sounds very bad. I don't hold it against her. I think it was sincere from her heart. She told me, Waithera, you have a child and there's a man who wants to marry you and you're refusing.
Allah.
And this immediately, and now that is what completely would have destroyed me if it wasn't for God. Because what she just communicated is, you're not like the rest of society. Any man who wants to marry you would be doing you a favor, so grab the first one that wants to. In other words, bas. In other words, you are not at the same class. You have now gone to another class. That thing, even ni shetani aliitumia ama ni nani, it went to the part of my heart I did not even know existed. Uko chini. And that whole week, I was walking around wondering, am I a lesser human being? Now, connect that to the woman who's perpetually trying to tell God, I am sorry in church. I'm sorry, God, I let you down. You know what she does? She's an usher. She intercedes if she's allowed. She lives in church.
She's overcompensating.
She's trying to tell God, I'll do anything for you to accept me back.
But yet God hajamkataa.
Sasa unaona hapo ndio shida. Do you know again what helped me? That thing was so, nilikuwa nabeba stone.
The whole time.
All time. And this is why people are told, read your Bible, because then the Lord will always give you a word.
Na unaweza pray na understanding.
But let me tell you what happened. I had a voice tell me, look for the 3 Hebrew boys, the story, in front of the fire. Nebuchadnezzar.
Akina Shadrach.
Yes. So I go and I read. And this is what the Hebrew boys spoke back to Nebuchadnezzar. Our God is able to save us from the fire. But even if he doesn't, we will not bow down to your God. And something told me, now put the word husband. And let me tell you, it was deep. Kama hapo ndio inaitangwa the belly, fountain of.
From the belly.
It came from here. And it came out. And that is how my esteem, my value, and my confidence ilirudi. Because for that moment, less than a week, I was already feeling, I don't deserve to be in this world. I will never be able to compete. I will never be able to hit the highest and greatest of heights. You're talking of a wounded spirit.
Ushaisikia ile story ya hata sijui Elijah. He's uko amelala chini ya mti anangoja sasa kudai. Yani it's over. God sasa wacha mimi nikufe.
Na sasa wacha nikuambie, because I later had a dream like that. That is where the enemy leaves you. You've heard of a wounded soldier.
Yeah.
Abebangui sababu hiyo ni weight and you will die anyway.
Too slow.
So you're left for dead. Because you're wounded. So you're going to bleed to death. Let me tell you something today. That is someone's COVID. And I can tell you, they have been bleeding. Not for 1 month, not for 2 months. 2 months tumekuwa quarantine and we are feeling like the world has come to an end. Can you imagine the person whose child today is 20 years and is still living with that weight?
Wacha nikuambie uongeleshe watu watatu. Let's rewind the tape. Let's talk to you. That you. Yeah? Kabla tuambiwe time imeisha. Number 2, let's talk to... When we talk to that you, we'll talk to every lady who's in that situation and they're at tender age. Sindio? The next situation that we would want to be able to talk. Now, those ladies are now forced to be a leader. Yeah. And now that they're being forced to be a leader, na kwa leader aje kama nani? You get? Now to talk to the leader
They are not worthy.
In those ladies who feel like na lead nini. Sindio? And we will take those principles and give them to the nation. Let the nation use those principles to lead this.
I understand you.
Yeah. Governance element of things globally.
This is what I will tell you. One thing that I guess we've never understood is that God ametupatia constitution. Na ametuambia, do this, things will go right. Do this, things will go wrong. It's the way the government, since now we are comparing governments,
Yes.
It's the same way the government of Kenya will tell you, keep left when you're driving. If you keep left, you'll reach where you're going. Drive on the right, you might survive.
Yeah.
But you might kill someone, your car might crash. But so adhere But even if you drive on the right, it won't be a death sentence. You could be jailed. But no one is going to say, go for death.
Utakuwa tu.
Yes, it's the same thing. Only for us, it's even greater in the kingdom. Because God gave you a constitution, you broke it. But at that point, we are perpetually breaking God's constitution, by the way. And God, in his wisdom, because he is love, came up with two amazing things called grace and mercy. By the way, I sit here as a product of grace and mercy. And then he seasons it with favor. And when you choose to obey, he also accelerates. Because remember, he's the only one who can call one day the same as 1,000 days, and 1,000 as one. Meaning, he can speed you up. So you may have lost time, but you can run and catch up with it, if you choose to go back into his word. Now, the most important thing is to be informed. And the information you need to get is from a solid foundation. I only know of one, which is God. Because even when I'm unfaithful, he remains faithful. And you need to know what God says about you. Because what God says about you is not determined by whether you fall or stand. It is only him who can say, a righteous man falls down 7.
The threshold is his.
It's his. He's the only one who will say, I know she's fallen once, I know she's fallen twice, I know she's fallen thrice, she's still righteous.
I'm aware.
He is the only one who will look at an adulterer who ends up murdering and say, man after my own heart. He's the only one who would look at a liar and say, that's my friend.
Kutusa.
But this one is the one that blew my mind. These are the things God was showing me when I was pregnant. If you look at the genealogy of Jesus, I think it's in Luke or Matthew, there are only 4 women, excluding the mother of Jesus. The first one is not Sarah. The first one is who? Tamar. I think it's Tamar. Then you've got Rahab, the actual prostitute. Tamar posed as a prostitute, the mother of Judah. Rahab was an actual prostitute. The other one was a Moabite. That was who? Ruth. Actually, I think there are 3. Ruth, Rahab, and Tamar. I don't know if I've left another one. Then now you've got the mother of Jesus. Remember, the mother of Jesus, according to her culture at that time, had also gotten pregnant out of wedlock.
It's true, yeah.
Okay.
And she was getting backlash.
Yes. To the extent now she was told, go stay with Elizabeth.
And
it was because her community was not going to stand her. So God literally, that's what he had done for me. Her. Yes. God removed, a church had been in 18 years. And not that it's a beautiful church. I love that church. Whatever God knew was going to happen if I stayed there, I don't know. But he removed me and took me to an Elizabeth space, which I continued to grow and sprout regardless. So what we are saying is this, that I started realizing God does not look for perfect people. I used to strive for perfection. God looks for a contrite heart. And then I remembered the promises God had given me. Jeremiah 29:11. I have a plan and a purpose. That plan and purpose is not determined by the falls or fails on earth. Then he had given me, way before when I was still in high school, Luke 1:45. Blessed is she, not even he. Blessed is she who believes that what the Lord has told her shall come to pass. And that's the verse I'll give those women. Whatever God spoke to you, your light has not stopped shining. You have not stopped being a light. It may have dimmed because of all the issues you're going through, all the issues you're trying to ask God to send you someone their way. Because what happens is, as you get to understand how God sees you, let me tell you one of the greatest revelations I got during that season. God can never love me more than he already loves me. and he can never love me less than he already loves me. He is love. All his love is already inside of me. There is nothing I can do as K to add, kuiongeza
ama kuipunguza. What do you tell a society that now has a situation in their hands? Hawana answers. Imewapiga tu surprise. Yeah? In the same exact way. And now they are feeling like they are at the tree, like Elijah, chilling to die.
They are not destined for death. And I'll tell you why. Circumstances don't define our assignment. Our purpose is not conditioned after seasons. COVID or no COVID, you remain as K. The gifts, the skills, the ambition, the talent that God put inside of you. Kuna mtu amepoteza nini naitangwa nini? Fingerprint. Ati because of COVID, no. If your fingerprint has not disappeared, how has your identity disappeared? How much more your identity that is even hidden deeper than your fingerprint? Whatever you are created with, those gifts, and there is no one who wasn't created without a gift. This cup is designed with particular characteristics to serve a particular purpose. It is created by man. So is this table, so is this chair. There's a reason hatuketi hapa juu. Na kuna reason hii kikombe iko hapa kwa hii kiti. Because all these things have particular characteristics that advise us of their purpose. How much more the creator of men, if this is created by man himself? This cup has not stopped being a cup sababu kuna COVID.
By the way, hata
Haitambui. It will continue serving you and I as a cup, COVID or not COVID. You will not cease to be who you are because of COVID. And COVID will go, another thing will come. It does not
listen about cycle of crisis.
It's a cycle of crisis because crisis does not come to defeat you. It comes to strengthen you.
And to amplify what you have.
Amplify. To force you to look within and bring it out. A crisis which is either man-made, kaa yangu ilikuwa man-made. Si niliambia God nimeenda kujitafutia.
But the dynamic too.
So mine was, but then there are those ones which happen to use kujitafutia. So it doesn't matter whether ulijitafutia ama ilikupata. The point is this. You do not change.
So umejige
the question
the
is
essence of you.
Yes. Who are you listening to?
Na sio unaweza jinyang'anya. Waithera to pray. Juu ata history taishaje. Aiziisha. To pray because we are there. We are there. It's a huge dynamic for a young person to have to contend with such a reality at an early age. It's a huge burden for a lady who is predisposed outside ile sako anataka ku raise voice yake as a leader. It's completely hard for an employer right now who's looking at a situation and anashanga, where is prudence? Is it releasing my people? Is it keeping my people? We are dying anyway. And I get?
Yes.
And it's tough for people in governance who everyone is looking for them to give answers. Answers gani? And that's why wacha tu nikopi wale in the meantime.
As I try to figure myself
out. But pia iko kwa hiyo crisis. Everyone is hit by a crisis. And now we are saying there's a God of crisis.
He's a God of crisis.
Yeah. And as righteous people called by his name, in crisis, just like Joseph, we rise.
We rise.
Yeah.
Actually, I believe that is why the word calls us a peculiar people.
Yes, because it's odd.
Yes, because it says we are a peculiar people. We rejoice when things go wrong. You get? And that is who we need to realize that we are. And even as we pray, for me, the greatest prayer I would have for anybody is that they be anchored on a rock. Because a rock is able to face whatever wind or wave that comes on it. It doesn't matter. For me, my prayer for everyone that is hearing this is that at the end of the day they would understand it is not crisis that makes them. They are not defined by seasons of crisis. It is them who actually get revealed
in an environment.
In an environment of different kinds of crisis. And that is where they gain their wisdom from. So the employer who's wondering, how will I pay people? The employee who's wondering, how will I pay rent? The mother and the father who's wondering, what will my children eat? All those are valid concerns. But at the end of the day, they do not negate your vision. What you need to understand is that there is always a way out. But that way must first be seen in here. And it's at that point that you must believe in yourself. You must believe in yourself. A widow in the Bible ran to, it was Elisha, and said, I want to take my children. I have nothing. Nothing. And he said, you have nothing. She said, I have nothing except. What's your except?
Kila mtu yuko naye.
Kila mtu ako na except. Unadharau. Except ni kitu unadharau. And whatever her except was is what bailed her out. What's your except? What's your except?
Hata gava iko na except.
Everyone, everything has an except.
To pray bana. Tuitanie juu.
My decree because I think I'm halfway through my prayer by the way.
It's true. Endelea.
My prayer is that we would discover our accept. My prayer for every person that is listening is that despite what they are going through this crisis, there are those who are experiencing a lifting. There are those who are experiencing a fall. And my prayer is that you discover that COVID has not come to destroy you, but to make you stronger. That COVID has come to help you discover a side of yourself you actually did not know existed and has just increased the value that you already have. And that there is no storm without an ending.
It's a season.
Yes. And God in his wisdom, the first thing he created was light. And even in the darkness, he still said, there shall be a light, which we call the moon and we call the stars. So there is no time, day or night, that there is no light. So my prayer is that we will all be very clear that there is light.
Except.
There is my light. And that's my prayer for everyone. And there is the crisis that we are seeing. Everyone is talking COVID. But amidst the COVID crisis, there are other small crises that are going on that we are not talking about. even those ones, this same message applies. So someone may not be having an issue with COVID. Their issue could be completely different, but a crisis, all the same. It does not matter. It does not matter. They were created to overcome. As long as they remember that they are light. You are never not a light. It may be dim,
but it's a light.
A light all the same. They just need, and that's another prayer that I have, that they would plug in to the source. Every light has a source.
Amen.
Amen. In Jesus' name, amen.
Nauma sana.
Amen.
I was telling our team, we have options. First option is to die. Yeah. Like everyone else currently. What else do we have? You get? So you can imagine we are contending, yes, as a business community to say, just send them home. In the case they die, either. In the case they took care the other side, then we will call them. But I was telling my team, what if we look at it differently? There's a principle that says, instead of competing with the circumstance, create. Yeah. This is the time when we create for survival.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've seen guys creating masks, ventilators.
Exactly. And that is our accept.
That's our accept.
Historia iziisha. Tutafanya ya tatu ama sasa tutafanya nini?
Tutaendelea tu mpaka pale God atatuambia tufika 20 ama 200 tutaendelea. Imekuwa true sana. Transformation. And thank you for exhibiting how your scars have become your victory. Because I would not trade them for anything. Today, transform life. Eske, let me tell you, hakuna mtu keti anaambia God, by the way, in my life I want you to bring these scars, bring this scar hapa alafu hakuna mtu uliza God for scars. But when you're done with that scar, you look back and you say, let me stay with my scar. Because the wisdom and insight that comes with those scars, there is no book, there is no pastor, no, there is no professor that can teach you. Scars are universal. They are universal. Whoever it is, kama ni mtu wa mtaani, kama ni babi, ni kama machozi. Haijalishi. It's different. Local, same international. Haijalishi, because the principle is a principle built of truth. Yes. Ningekupiga ki high five kama ingekuwa COVID. Sanitize, I love to sanitize. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity, and God is raising a special generation. True. And this is not a generation that will be afraid of its scars. Yes. Authentic is the new smart. Authentic will be the new smart. And it is the smart that will be able to face the giant and tell it, I've killed bears. They may have scratched me. I killed them all the same. I killed a bear. It may have scratched me, but I killed it all the same. Yeah. And I will kill you to Goliath. Yeah. And Goliath, as he's used to, comes with his shield and javelin. Him knowing strategy ni kila mtu kwa na bonaro na. Yeah. What he didn't know is that a sling can take him down. It was a simple strategy. So true. It wasn't complex. But his scars, his scratches were with the bear. Jesus alihave kukam. Ndio boy alikuwa na doubt, I'm sure. They are my scars. Even Samson had scars, but he didn't lose. No. He didn't. Yeah. Having a scar does not make you a loser.
Part 3, lazima tupige part 3. God mbele. Yeah. Tutapiga part 3. So, thank you very much. Yeah. It is well.
In Jesus' name.
Simko well. Mabeste. Sawa. It's a wrap.
This is Clean Money TV.